How you doing, guys? How we doing? All good? All good? Brilliant. Now, I'm pleased to announce that Arsenal have signed Gabriel Jesus for £45 million from Manchester City. Well, providing a few details in the deal is ironed out, we will be having that transfer all but confirmed. And this is by the football gurus Fabrizio Romano and David Ornstein. As an Arsenal fan, as you know, I'm over the moon with this. We've been craving a striker for the best part of, well, a few years, if we're being totally honest, and even more so, that was kind of aided by the fact that I guess Aubameyang and now Lacazette has left. So there was a vacancy there for a top number 9 to come in. He's technically gifted. He's got the mental attributes. Physically, he's bulked up since the first time he stepped in the Premier League. He's shown up in big games, Liverpool, Real Madrid. Just to note, he's an absolute star, in my opinion. He's a star, but he's a star on the rise. Now, when we look at his numbers, while one would argue they're not flattering, in his 288 appearances in football, he has scored 116 times. By the way, before he stepped out of Brazil, he won the Brazilian Premier League and the Brazilian Cup. And he also played in the South American Champions League. He is a made man. Then when he now stepped in the UK, or in the Premier League for Manchester City, putting the famous blue for the citizens, he then goes and wins 4 Premier League titles under Guardiola. Now, people might debate the part he played in those titles. I'll say he played a major part. Remember those final games of this last season, if you have amnesia. Can I take you back to those seasons where Aguero wasn't necessarily at it in certain games and Guardiola actually started playing Gabriel Jesus up front while having a healthy Aguero on the bench? Let's not forget the amount of times that Gabriel Jesus has shown up in big games, and his link-up play has been the fulcrum to that City's attack. So much to the point where Guardiola went to a false 9 via Gabriel Jesus. He went Aguero, Gabriel Jesus then went to the false 9. He was the vehicle for what you are seeing now at City from an offensive standpoint, because he creates for not only himself but for others. He's not only a willing passer, he's not only willing to give assists, he's not only unselfish, but his football IQ and the way he thinks the game on a cerebral level is the reasons why Guardiola even purchased him in January to Manchester City that year. He knows how to win things, but beyond that, beyond his technical ability, beyond his intangibles, his mentality, and he's physically bulked up, you now have the backdrop of a guy who wants to press, a guy who wants to have a chip on his shoulder. Maybe that's because of the environment in South America. But I remember watching his first game and he scored a goal, I remember, but it got disallowed. But the infectious energy he had when I first saw him in a City shirt and he came on as a sub, I was like, this guy's gonna be really good. This guy's made for this league. Because you saw the tenacity and the level of intensity he was playing at and he was operating at. It was bleeding, like literally bleeding through the screen. I was like, he's different. He literally just arrived off the boat. He's fresh off the boat. But I like it. It's good fresh off the boat. It's like, I want to prove myself. I'm in tackles. I'm tenacious. There's a bit about me. Yeah, I have skill. Yeah, I have the first touch. Yeah, I have the awareness. But I still have the industry of a local English lad. Do you know what I mean? He's a very interesting signing. And if under the right tutelage, and if nurtured and given the right nutrition, not only mentally but also his technical ability being refined even more in the future, and his best years are still ahead of him, we might just have an absolute quality player on our hands. 45 million, while it might sound too much, when you consider the context in which we got him, and Chelsea, Tottenham, I heard even Madrid were looking at him, and a host of European teams. I was told up to 6 European teams were looking at him. When you consider that, and with the season we've had, finishing 5th, and how we ended the season to compete and wrestle with those clubs, and to wrestle Gabriel Jesus off them, we might have just done a great thing, not even a good thing. And I'm very interested. I will even go as far as saying I'm very curious to see how this turns out, because this could be Arteta pulling the rabbit out of the hat, or this could be Arteta just going into the hat to hide, because there ain't no place to hide anymore. But it'll be interesting. I'm in support of this. I'm excited for the new season. While I would like to believe that this is not the final piece of business in the summer transfer window, I'd like to think we will strengthen the midfield and try and get a couple fullbacks in. I'm not hopeful of that, but wishful thinking. What can I do as a fan? I can only wish. But yes, this is a good signing. This guy scores important goals. He scored 95 goals for City in 236 appearances. By the way, consider context. Not all of those appearances were in the CF. So some were in the RW position that he plays more frequently as of recently, and some were earlier on in his City career. He was playing on the left wing as well at times, and seldomly you do see him even throughout the last couple of seasons on the left wing. But he is a guy that is versatile, but he still gives you 95 goals, not only as a centre forward but for Manchester City, and 46, and he gives you 46 assists. You're talking about a guy who is well-rounded, a guy who has the tools to adapt because of his well-rounded skill set, and you have a guy who doesn't shy away in big games. This I will say, these are the ingredients for success, and I'm happy with this signing, and I'm happy that we've got something to shout about. I'm just interested and quite curious to see where we go from here.